head to Odisha is not a common thing you hear people say while planning a vacation. But why not? This is a place that takes you back in time. It has ancient temples, some of the earliest existing sites of the Buddhist faith, enchanting traditional arts, and one of the best beaches in India. Welcome to Follow the Star. This week, I am going to explore the unexplored. The weather gods had begun to smile upon us, and the monsoon season had finally set in, bringing some respite from the scorching heat. Now everyone has their own way of enjoying the rains, so I decided to stick to what I do best. Take on a short road trip and soak in the monsoon at an exotic destination. It had to be Odisha, a less explored state that lies on India's east coast by the Bay of Bengal. My journey began in Bhubaneshwar, its capital city. From there, I headed south towards Dhauli, a place that witnessed one of the most gruesome battles of Indian history. Then on to small villages like Pipili and Raghurajpur to explore the art of Odisha, before calling it a day at the charming city of Puri. My entire journey was only about 67 kilometers long, with National Highway 203 connecting both cities. But it was an ideal distance for the rainy season, which is the time to travel less and explore more. Now I haven't been to Odisha before, so I have no idea what the road conditions are like. But driving around Bhubaneshwar, the roads seem pretty good. And I really hope they remain this way, because my ride for this journey is the very sporty Mercedes-Benz CLS 350. Bhubaneshwar, Odisha's capital and largest city in the state, is popularly nicknamed the Temple City of India. And rightly so. It's home to some well-preserved ancient temples that serve as fine examples of medieval temple architecture. Another fascinating sight here are the twin hills of Udayagiri and Khandagiri, housing 33 rock-cut caves that were used as dwelling retreats of Jain saints back in the 1st century BC. Despite its rich cultural past, Bhubaneshwar is now developing with good quality infrastructure that makes for a great visit before you venture further into Odisha. Now this state is quite unique. For starters, Odisha has this ancient past. Don't forget, this is the same kingdom of Kalinga that Ashoka the Great fought against over 2000 years ago. And combined with this ancient history, Odisha is also one of the fastest developing states in India. And to know more about the state, I am on my way to meet the power couple of Odisha, Jai and Jaggi Panda. Bajayant Jai Panda represents the new face of Indian politics. He is currently an MP of the Lok Sabha, representing the Kendrapara constituency in Odisha. Jai Panda has also championed several key social initiatives. Jai's wife Jaggi Panda is as talented as him, if not more. Brought up in Hyderabad, Jaggi plunged into a career in modelling and is India's first ever glad rag supermodel. Having dabbled in many other fields, Jaggi finally settled for a career in business. Today, she's one of India's leading entrepreneurs and heads Airtel Communications and OTV. The happy couple has been married for 17 years now, and their love story is one to hang on to. What according to you is unique about Odisha?
Coming to Odisha gives you a sense of what India must have been like many centuries ago. And you imagine what history took place here. Just outside Bhubaneshwar you've got Dhauli Hill, where Emperor Ashoka sat and conducted the Kalinga War.
Great Kalinga War.
So you've got these immense historical sites, but it's got it all really.
Okay, I know everyone knows the story somewhat, but I want to hear it from both of you. How did you all meet? I know it's a very sweet story, so I'm very interested in knowing from you all.
Well, I've said it so many times, so perhaps Jai should.
Okay, fine, whoever.
We were both on an international flight that had a bomb scare. But as a result of that, the plane had to make an unscheduled stop, and it was in Ankara in Turkey.
Okay.
And none of the passengers had visas for Turkey. So we were all stuck in this small airport. I think it was about 8 hours that we were stuck there.
Yeah.
And so I guess fate threw us together.
When did you decide you wanted to get into politics, and how did you get into politics?
It wasn't planned. In the 90s, I'd come back from many years in the US, and I was working in the private sector, family business. And I was frustrated with the system. I used to complain about the corruption, I used to complain about the red tape. And friends of mine told me to either shut up or do something about it. So I started dabbling in helping out the late, great Biju Patnaik on the weekends. I never thought it would take off or anything. He passed away, but then his son Naveen Patnaik came back to Odisha and founded the party. And I've been involved in it from that day.
So since I'm in Orissa, the first thing that comes to everybody's mind is Puri, and I am going there eventually. What would you suggest I would do specifically?
Well, Puri is world famous for the Jagannath temple, but it is also a coastal town. I would very much suggest that you, on the way to Puri itself, you will pass a village called Pipili, which has wonderful handicrafts. You will pass another village called Raghurajpur, which is an arts and crafts village which has kept alive many of our ancient traditions in sculpture and painting.
Oh, so I have a lot to explore.
And if you get a chance, I suggest you go and try out some local Odia food.
And what is your favorite Oriya dish?
Well,
if I would specifically want to try something.
There are lots of signature Odia dishes. If you are a dessert person, then there is something called Chenna Podo.
My rendezvous with Jai and Jaggi against the beautiful backdrop of Bhubaneshwar was the perfect beginning to my journey. They seemed to know Odisha like the back of their hand, and I couldn't wait to get on the road. But due to sporadic weather, I decided to take one step at a time and stay over at Bhubaneshwar before heading out to Puri the next morning. The rain pattered down all night long and showed no signs of stopping, but that didn't dampen my spirits. The city looked clean and green, and that's all that mattered. I drove around 10 kilometers from Bhubaneshwar and entered the Dhauli hills. To get to the top of the Dhauli hills, I had to take a detour of 4 kilometers from the highway. The way up was beautiful, and I drove past the ancient rock edicts of Emperor Ashoka engraved on a mass of rock. Right above the edicts was an elephant carved out of pure stone where Ashoka the Great himself had worshipped. This is said to be the earliest Buddhist sculpture of Odisha. The top of the hill houses a serene Vishwa Shanti Stupa that was built by the Indo-Japanese collaboration in 1972. This massive dome has 5 umbrellas placed on its top that represent the 5 most important aspects of Buddhism. Can you imagine? These lush green fields was where the Battle of Kalinga was fought. This was one of the bloodiest battles in Indian history, and also the reason why Ashoka the Great decided to embrace Buddhism, post which people started calling him Dharma Ashok rather than Chand Ashok or the Bloodthirsty. The stupa overlooked the Daya river, and the view from atop was stunning. It was fascinating to see a place like Dhauli that once witnessed a gruesome war now stand tall as a symbol of peace. Charged up, I decided to get going to my next stop, the small colourful town of Pipili. To get to Pipili, one has to take a slight detour from the main highway. home to a vibrant community of craftsmen that specialize in the applique technique. I will be exploring the art of Odisha in greater detail further on in the artisans village of Raghurajpur, but since Pipili was on my way, I thought I'd stop and take a look. The famous applique needlework of Pipili traces its history to the erstwhile kings of Odisha, who specially hired well-trained applique artists and set up the Pipili village for them. Even today, all locals of the village engage in this unique art where small shapes of cloth are intricately stitched onto a bigger cloth, offering contrasting colors and designs. Coming up on Follow the Star, going by Jai Panda's advice, I drop by at the Raghurajpur village to dig deep into the rich art of Odisha before heading to my destination, the vibrant city of Puri. After an enjoyable drive along narrow lanes and lush greenery, I had finally reached Raghurajpur, a tiny village tucked away on the outskirts of Puri. Known for its fine Pattachitra paintings, Raghurajpur is the ultimate potpourri of art in Odisha. To get a better hang of the place, I spoke to Sudarshan Swain, one of the several artists in the village. Namaste Sudarshan ji, कैसे हो आप?
अच्छा है, बहुत बढ़िया। कि रघुराजपुर में हमारे गांव में 120 घर हैं। यहाँ से 9 किस्म का आर्ट है। तो सबसे बड़ा फेमस है पट्टचित्र, पाम लीफ, अलग अलग क्राफ्ट है, काउडंग टॉयज, गंजवा प्लेइंग कार्ड, कोकोनट पेंटिंग्स।
आप ये पट्टचित्र के बारे में मुझे बताइए, क्यों फेमस है, क्या स्टोरी है इसका?
पट्टचित्र फेमस है इसीलिए कि भगवान जगन्नाथ जब नहाने का बाद 15 दिन के लिए सो जाते हैं कुखार में, उस समय दरवाजा बंद हो जाता है और उसमें 3 पेंटिंग पूजा होता है।
3 पेंटिंग पूजा?
3 पेंटिंग मतलब ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेश्वर, ये तीनों पट्टी पूजा होता है।
So basically the point behind Pattachitra paintings is when the lords used to go to sleep for 15 days, they used to be depicted as Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwar on these paintings, because since they are sleeping, their doors were closed, but obviously people used to still come to worship them and pray to them. And they used to pray to these paintings instead of them. That is the whole idea behind Pattachitra painting, and that's why it's so famous. Intrigued by Sudarshan's description of Pattachitra, I decided to take a walk around the beautiful village, hoping to meet a Pattachitra artist. The locality was a visual delight, and every house was packed with colorful artifacts. Even the walls of these tiny homes were decorated in a unique fashion. The place was clearly oozing with creativity. And just when I thought there was too much to see, I ran into who else but a Pattachitra artist. शायद जी आप क्या बना रहे हो?
इसको बोलते हैं पट्टचित्र।
ये इसको बोलते हैं पट्टचित्र। तो ये पेपर है नहीं?
पेपर नहीं।
तो ये पट्टचित्र पेंटिंग्स पेपर या कैनवस में रेगुलर पेंटिंग्स की तरह क्यों नहीं बनता है? ये ट्रेडिशनली क्लॉथ में ही बनता है?
ट्रेडिशनल क्लॉथ में बनाते हैं। कॉटन कापड़ और इमली का बीज, व्हाइट चौको, ये तीनों चीज को मिला के ये पट्टचित्र हम खुद बनाते हैं। ये मार्केट से नहीं मिलता है।
और आप ये कलर्स जो यूज करते हो, ये रेगुलर कलर्स नहीं है ना?
नहीं, ये पूरा हमारा पत्थर का कलर है।
पत्थर का कलर? पत्थर
का। ये जो व्हाइट है ना, ये समुद्र का शीश है। ये लाल वाला जो पत्थर है, ये हिंगुल।
और ये काला कैसे निकलता है?
काला जैसे हमें देखिए, ये देखिए।
अच्छा।
जो हम जो दीपो जलेगा उसका ऊपर एक चीज रख देगा, उसका जो धूप निकलता है वही काला को हम निकलते हैं।
So it's really nice to know that everything they use is natural and it's not like a regular painting at all. Aside from the much acclaimed Pattachitra paintings, Raghurajpur is also home to some other interesting forms of art. Palm leaf engraving, for instance, consists of mythological events that are carefully engraved in the palm leaf using an iron pen. Though I could go on exploring the myriad traditional art forms of Odisha, I had to resist overindulging in this experience and pull myself back into the car to drive to my destination, Puri. NH 203 is a 4-lane highway with lanes clearly demarcated in most areas. Throughout my journey, the roads were in fairly good shape except a few minor diversions on the way. After 10 kilometers and a slight drizzle, I had reached one of the holiest cities of India, Puri. The tradition, art and history of Odisha all culminate here, in the home of Lord Jagannath, whose motif is a common sight across the state. At first, Puri can feel a bit overwhelming with its crowd, so it's good to start off with the basics. A visit to the Jagannath temple, which is on every visitor's agenda. Mine too, only in a lesser known, unique way. Now, it's a well-known fact that if you're in Puri and you haven't seen the famous Jagannath temple, then your trip is incomplete. But what most people don't know is that the temple is off limits for non-Hindus. So tourists have found an interesting spot to get a glimpse of the temple nonetheless. It's the top floor of this old library. The Raghunandan Library lies right across the Jagannath temple, and climbing up to the roof was a good way to enjoy an aerial view of this masterpiece that was packed to the brim with devotees. After all, Jagannath is believed to be the Lord of the universe, and Puri is part of the sacred Char Dham Yatra. Around the temple was a bustling market area selling an array of items from street food to silver jewellery. I decided to dive into the crowd and see if I could taste some chena podo, a local delicacy that Jay and Jaggi Panda suggested I try. The narrow lanes leading up to the market were quite a maze, and it took me a while of trudging before I finally managed to locate a sweet shop selling chena podo. आपके पास चेना पोडा है? मैं ट्राई कर सकती हूँ? Looks like caramel custard, but I don't know what it's going to taste like. कैसे बनता है
ये? दूध फटा छेना से बनती है, छेना, सूजी, चीनी।
ये कुछ स्पेशल स्वीट है?
हाँ, स्पेशल।
उड़िया लोग के लिए?
हाँ, उड़िया जन्मदिन, बर्तों घर और शादी का घर ये सब चलेगा।
तो ये स्पेशल स्वीट है, बहुत टेस्टी है. So it is like caramel custard, the difference being that is egg and this is paneer, but it's tasty and it is caramelized at the bottom, which is what it makes it black, and the front is white. But it's yum, and if you're in Puri, you have to taste the chena poda. After my stroll through the market streets, I decided to get back into the car and head to Puri's second most popular hangout, the beach. The Puri beach was quite a marvel to watch as gigantic waves of the Bay of Bengal crashed on the shore. The sea in this region is pretty rough and ideal for experienced swimmers only. Yet, it seemed to be teeming with activity as tourists lined up on the shore to relax and unwind, if not swim. I walked away from the hustle and found a quiet place to sit back and enjoy nature in full swing. My fabulous 2-day road trip across Odisha had wound to a close. Despite continuous rain, I managed to enjoy the drive in my CLS class. And here I was, at the end of it all, relaxing by the beach. That's the thing about most journeys. They fly by in the blink of an eye and come to an end. But Odisha is different. It's a world unto itself, waiting to be explored. And I'm not gonna give up. Next time, I am going beyond. Next week, we travel from the industrial town of Durgapur to the city of joy, Kolkata. And what do I do there? Catch us next week to find out. I will be exploring the art of Odisha in greater detail. What's wrong with me? Sorry. Nahi ho raha aaja. Further on at the... So I haven't been to Odisha before. Odisha. This... I get distracted with you doing all this ya piche mein. हाँ पता है.